Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reclaiming Your Health. I'm C.C. Péan. Thank you for joining me this evening. This dish that we're making this evening is short and sweet. I wanted to do something very simple today. I'll be very honest with you. I did not want to do this thing. I got a phone call last night from somebody who was very near and dear to my heart. And I've just been kind of grieving that all day today. And my inspiration for really doing the show is to continue to talk about the importance of health. Many of us, 350, I think it's 360,000 people at this point died from COVID in and of itself is terrible, but what's making it worse is that when it comes upon people that have pre-existing conditions, it's extremely hard for them to battle it and battle it, come out of it unscathed. And then those of us who battle COVID and make it out, there are still consequences. There's lingering issues, all these things going on. So I'm saying all of that to say that we have to be proactive. When you get sick is not the time to try to do it. Of course, there's things you're going to do, but we need to be very proactive about our health. We need to be proactive about our spirituality. We just need to be proactive. So many of us operate in emergency mode and try to fix things after the fact. And one of the things that I have been trying to exemplify here and teach you all while I've been doing these dishes is that it's not complicated. And I know that there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, and a lot of times what people do when they're stressed, when they're anxious, they eat. And we don't necessarily eat the best thing. We eat comfort foods. And they're foods, we've talked about this, they're foods that have been created specifically to make you addicted, to keep you addicted. Cheetos, Doritos, all kinds of snack foods. And what we've got to do is we've got to get comfortable with the earth's bounty, eating foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. So obviously, Oreos don't qualify, potato chips don't qualify. We've got to retrain our palate, and we have got to learn to appreciate what the master creator has provided in bounty for us. So this evening is dedicated to Jerry Warren. Jerry was the minister for many years at my church, Breath of Life, Inglewood. And he did music all over the city of Los Angeles. He was the soul of Breath of Life. Jerry was the person who embodied fellowship. And if there's one thing I miss about not going to church, it's the fellowship. Jerry was the kind of person that whoever came into church, he made them feel welcome. And he found a place for them to eat after church. If it wasn't with him, he took care of them. And food played a big part in that. When you share your table, when you share your bounty, you are fellowshipping with people. And a lot of times, that's one of the most important connections we can have is when we share of ourselves. And Jerry was generous in so many ways. In every way, he was generous. He really embodied fellowship. And so I challenge you all this evening to do the same. There are so many people hurting. There's so many things going on. You may not be able to embrace somebody, but you can call somebody. You can send somebody a note. You can send them a little gift. You can do all kinds of things and let them know that they're loved and they're appreciated. I think at a time like this, it's more important than ever. So, love you, Jerry, and love you, Robin. Tonight, I am going to do a dish with quinoa, and the recipe that we shared all, said a quinoa stuffed avocado because I love it. Now, some of you hear avocado and you can't, it takes you out. So this same quinoa can be stuffed into a bell pepper. This same quinoa can be stuffed into a squash. If you want to do a butternut squash and scoop out some of the inside, you can do it that way. You can take zucchini and you can scrape out the center of the zucchini and put this in there, and it's delicious. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do the avocado, but I'm going to get the bell pepper ready so you can see that as well. So I have a bell pepper. A lot of times I've seen people when they do bell peppers, they cut out the center core and they stuff them like that. I don't do that when I do my bell peppers. I actually cut them in half. It's a lot easier for me to manage when I do it like that. I take a little paring knife and I just cut the white out. And this other one as well. This is kind of a small bell pepper. You wouldn't do it. Well, maybe you would. Maybe you would. I like bell pepper, but not to the point where I would eat a big one. So this is okay for me, but if you're somebody who really likes big bell peppers, feel free to go ahead. I would not recommend the green. You know, I don't like green bell peppers. They have a kind of bitterness to them. But what I'm going to do, most recipes call for you to turn these upside down in a pan of water for about 20 minutes in the oven and preheat it. I don't do that. I have some water that is boiling. I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the water for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out. I'm putting in the water, putting my timer 3 minutes. Make sure it's immersed in the water. Okay. And so now we're going to get started on the stuffing. Now, I suggested quinoa, but you can use any grain you want. You can use rice. You can use farro, which I love. It's like almost like a barley texture. It's really hearty and really filling. You can use that. You can use fonio, which is a West African super grain. It's super fine. You can use couscous. You can use pearl couscous. You can use wild rice. Wild rice, because wild rice isn't actually rice. Wild rice is actually a grass. So it's much better for your body. It helps in your digestion. It's full of fiber. So that's a great substitution as well. So this evening we're using quinoa. So I have about 2.5, 3 cups of quinoa here. I use just under the amount of water that you would usually use. It's usually 2 to 1, 2 liquid, 1 grain. I use just a little bit under that because I want it to be grainy. I don't want it to be mushy. I want to be able to add things to it and it mixes well. So I have that here. To this, if you can do my overhead shot, these are all the different. Now, the great thing about this quinoa, it's almost like a quinoa pilaf. You can pretty much put whatever you want. So that's why I said, you know, mix and match your vegetables. If you go into your freezer and you have some lima beans or you have some frozen corn or frozen peas, all of those things can go in there. You're just going to build something that's really flavorful and hearty because this is a meal. Now, what you could do when you serve this, you can also serve it alongside with a salad, or you can serve it alongside with some soup. That would be a delicious meal. So what I'm going to do, so you see here we have parsley, we have celery, I have some onion, some bell pepper, cilantro, we have some zucchini, sun-dried tomatoes, raisins. I know this may seem crazy, but I love to put golden raisins in my pilaf and things like that because it adds just that touch of sweet. I have some smoked paprika, some cumin, I have some mushrooms. So I'm going to get started. We've got about 35 seconds left here with that. I'm going to get started. I'm going to add a little, oops, come back. I'm going to add just a little onion to this. Now you can use white onion, you can use red onion. And here's the other thing. I don't typically cook these. I don't put any heat to them. When I fix my pilaf, the only thing that I really put is the actual grain. After that, I put everything just into the pilaf, into the quinoa or the farro or whatever I'm using. There goes peppers, and I have spring. Just gonna pour this water off. Okay, and so those are ready when we're ready. I don't do that. One of the big reasons is I've talked to you all about this. I love texture. And when you cook a lot of these things, they break down. I like to have I keep saying this word tonight, hearty meal. I like to feel fulfilled and satisfied. So I typically do not cook them. Now, if you're somebody who after, for example, the bell pepper typically goes back in the oven after you have stuffed it with whatever you're stuffing it with. So it's gonna get some heat if you do it that way. If you're doing the avocado, that's not gonna happen because the avocado doesn't go into an oven. But by all means, if you want to cook it, go ahead and cook it and put it in your your rice and your grain. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of my bell pepper here, some red and some yellow. And of course, I've chosen these because the color is beautiful and we are visual eaters. We want to look and taste good. Okay. So that's going in the bowl. Let's see, I've got some mushrooms here. Now you can use portobello mushrooms. You can use shiitake mushrooms if you'd like. There's so many mushroom varieties. I like to add this because it gives a bit of meatiness to the dish. Now, something you can also do, you can crumble up some vegan sausage in here if you would like to. Typically, when stuffed peppers are made, they're made with ground beef. So if you want to use a meat substitute, like an Impossible Burger, or some people use like walnuts chopped up, and it gives like kind of a meaty flavor that as well. But I'm just going to use a couple of mushrooms. Okay, I have my sun-dried tomato. This is something that I put in a lot of dishes as well. Why? I do that because sun-dried tomatoes have these are tough, so I'll cut it like this. Sun-dried tomatoes have this real deep, rich flavor. It really, really, really does. And it just adds a whole new dimension to your dish when you use them. So I like to add it because it really adds this salty, almost, there's a flavor that a lot of people in the cooking world use. It's called umami. It has an umami flavor to it. It's one of the flavor profiles. Okay. Chop that up, putting that in our rice. Let's see what else do we have. We have some, should we do parsley or cilantro this evening? Which one do you think? While I wait for you to respond, I'm going to cut up a little bit of celery. Anyone? Is anyone tuned in tonight? Or am I here by myself? Okay, well, you know what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose cilantro, especially because we're doing avocado. Cilantro. Thank you, Crystal. And your package is in the mail. Everyone who was so kind and so supportive of purchasing my spice flight, they were, Melissa wants parsley. Too late, Melissa, we're doing cilantro. For all of you who have supported me and purchased my spice flight, thank you so much. They were mailed out yesterday. The reason I had to wait is because we had spices flown in from Ethiopia. So we had to get all that stuff here. All the delays with the mail and everything kind of threw it off, but trust me, you will be happy when you get it. Now, I put a note in there and I said, my spices are bold. They're pure, so tread lightly. Start with a little bit and then build up. Okay, So we have got our celery in there. We're going to do just a little bit of the cilantro, just a little bit. And of course, if you really want to, I guess you could use cilantro and parsley, almost said paisley. Okay, so this is going in there now. And the last thing I'm going to put in are my golden raisins. Now, when you use raisins, when you cook with raisins, something I always suggest that people do is soak them a little bit, because raisins are dried grapes. So when they dry them, they're kind of tough. And I don't want them to stand out so much in a dish. I want them to kind of blend into the dish. So what I do is I just turn on the water, get it kind of hot, and I let them sit in hot water for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I pour the water off. And then I'm able to either toss them directly into whatever dish that I'm working on, or I can chop them up very easily, which is not something that happens when they're straight out of the box. And I love these because they just add that perfect, just that little touch of sweetness. You know, I love dishes that have all kinds of things going on. So I'm always trying to figure out a way to include creaminess, saltiness, sweetness. Not big on sour, but I like tangy. So that's something that I will incorporate as well. So, all right. In go the golden raisins. And so now is the time. Look how beautiful that looks. See that? How beautiful that looks. We're just going to mix it all together. This is so beautiful. You know, and the colors are so vibrant. That's why I like to keep it like this. And I would prefer not to, go away, wherever you are. I prefer not to cook it because all these colors are just fresh and vibrant and alive. What you could do at this point, you could add a little bit of lime zest to it. That would add a great flavor to it. So we've got that all mixed up. I'm going to take a little bit of my smoked paprika. I'm going to take a little bit of my cumin. Now, this would be a great dish for you to use either my chili blend or my curry. If you wanted to add like a little curried quinoa, that would be really, really good. So keep that in mind for those of you who purchased the spice blend. Adding just a little bit of my mushroom salt. And I'm going to keep on mixing this. I really encourage you all to play around with spices, play around with textures, just try different things. There's so many things that are out there for you to enjoy that are great for your body and that are nutrient dense. Okay, so I believe that we are ready. Let me just taste it. Very good. Very good. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how I will do a bell pepper. So this is the bell pepper that I put in boiling water for about 3 minutes. I poured it. See that? So at this point, what you would do is you would fill it and you would put it back in the oven for a few minutes. But I don't do that. I do it like, let's see. I'll show you how I do it. So I like to use a scoop. The reason why I like to use a scoop is that if I'm preparing for people, I'm gonna have the same exact measurement every time because I'm a freak about stuff looking great. But I think it's a good habit to get into because then you're monitoring and you are controlling how much you're eating. When you guesstimate, like using a spoon, you always underguess how much you're using. So that's what's good with this. And this is probably about a quarter cup. So I'm gonna get that in there. I'm gonna press it down. Put a little more on top. That looks wonderful. Put it in the center of our bowl. Now, oftentimes, when people do baked peppers, stuffed peppers, they use a little bit of tomato sauce. So I have a little bit of tomato sauce that I have warmed up. I'm just going to put that across the top of it. Of course, you can use as little or as much as you like, or you don't have to use it all. Use it at all. Then I'm going to pick it up a notch. I'm going to use some of the BioLife Parm. This is one of the best vegan cheese lines I know of. I used to tell people when they would ask me, what do I do about cheese? I love cheese. And I would say, well, get over the idea of getting cheese. It's going to taste like vegan cheese. It's going to taste like real cheese, but that's not going to happen. BioLife figured it out. So this is a parm. Not only does it taste delicious, look at how it shreds. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing. I liked a lot of cheese when I was a cheese eater, and I like a lot of cheese now that I'm a vegan cheese. So that's that. And we're gonna zhuzh it up just a little bit. We want our food to taste and look good. We're just gonna zhuzh it up a little bit like that. So this is our stuff. Oh, it's never happened before. It fell apart. Okay. Plan B. So if it falls over before you have a chance to serve it to your people, make it seem like that's on purpose. Put a little more sauce on there. A little more Parmesan on top. So this is when you make sure that your pepper, that's a step that I missed for you all, because this has never happened to me before, but nonetheless, I should have told you. Make sure that your pepper is, oh, it's BioLife Parmesan cheese. It actually comes in a rectangular container. And it ages well too. I mean, I've had some of these like up to 2-3 months. BioLife Parmesan cheese. And you can get it, like I found it at Publix. So I'm sure I would think that Kroger would have it. So anyway, here we go. Rewind and come again. This is my stuffed pepper. You see that? My stuffed pepper. And like I said, what you could do is you could put this in the oven, let it bake for a little bit, then put the parm on it and your green to make it beautiful. So that's that. And now we're going to do my avocado. So this is a nice big avocado. I'm praying that it's just right. You don't want your avocado to be too beautiful. You don't want it to be too soft, and you don't want it to be hard. You want it to be just to the touch, like you could just almost like the cartilage of your ear. You want it to feel like that when you press on it. So to prepare this, what you want to do, you want to scoop out just a little bit of the avocado, just a little bit of the center so that you can get a good amount of the quinoa in there. So I kind of just do a circle. I go like right around the edge, take out a little bit by a little bit, take out too much, and then I save it for guacamole or whatever I want to use it for. If you're an avocado lover, you'll love this. If you're not, you won't. Okay. And so we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to put our quinoa inside. Right inside our avocado. Let's see if this one will behave. I'm not going to put any cheese on this one. Of course you can if you want to, but I'm not going to. I want this one just to be vibrant and fresh and unadulterated. And this would be lovely. Avocado is not perfect looking, but it's going to be perfect. It's perfect ripeness. This would be great on its own. Oh, it's so pretty. This would be great on its own if you're a light eater. If you're not a light eater, you can put some mixed greens, some spring mix, spinach, arugula with a light lemon olive oil dressing. Something like that would be really nice to complement this. Or you could do a nice soup, like a spring pea soup or something like that. I do a very nice spring pea soup with Meyer lemon, and it's really lively and fresh. Yes, it's January. No, that doesn't mean that you have to eat everything wintry. You still can eat vibrant, fresh food, and this would be a great dish. So everyone, thank you for joining me. Again, thank you for those who have supported me and the launch of my spices. If you want to learn more about them, you can go to akavefoods.com. Also, next month, I'm going to be launching my maple jerk syrup, which is amazing. And I would love your support again then too. But most importantly, my friends who have been joining me every Tuesday for the last several months, I think Stan said we've got like 25 shows at this point. Guard your health. It's like a cliche, people say it, you only have one body. Once disease and things starts to hit your body, it's hard to get things back where they were. And sometimes it's impossible. So please join me in this new year in being proactive with your health. Be conscious about what you're putting in your temple on a daily basis. I know things are stressful. I know sometimes you just want to get that 2-piece and a biscuit. I know sometimes you want to go to Popeyes, get that spicy chicken sandwich. I know how many things do I have to say. I know there are times that you just feel like that, whatever that is, that's just gonna give you like that warm hug from the inside. Stop it. Think of your health first. Think beyond that moment. Because what we are putting in our bodies is either contributing to our health or it's contributing to disease. And so I encourage you to eat, to live, to think abundantly, think about health, and be a steward of your temple on a daily basis. Thank you so much for joining me. It is delicious. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, Jerry Warren, a man for the ages. Bye-bye.